All righty. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. This your girl Tiffany coming through right here live in effect. And today I am dealing with the topic, of course, that's Black history. As you can see, the title, Roger Arliner Young. She was an African American biologist and a zoologist, one of the first women to have a doctorate degree in zoology at that. So today I have a special guest that's going to help me out. So he is pretty known for dealing with African American history and just history and African history throughout the diaspora. I mean, he's a master at this. When I tell you he's on top of his game, he's really on top of his game. So he's here to help me out. And we're also going to talk about other subject in addition to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to present my guest, Brother Okomfo Apem. If I'm mispronouncing the name, please help me, okay? But he's also known as JC Hughes. I've been knowing this brother for a while. Like I say, he's a very phenomenal brother. He's very great at what he does, and I recommend people to reach out to him if they really want to learn more about African history, especially here in America. He's the master. He's that person behind it. So I'm just gonna bring him on. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm good.
Before you get started, tell people how to pronounce your name because I'll be mispronouncing it.
No, you did it right. You did it right.
So it's Okomfo Apem Nkuu.
Nkuu, yeah. Apem.
Okay, cool. Okomfo. Okay, so let me ask this. I'm just curious. What made you decide that you want to choose that name? Like, why did you choose that name for yourself?
Actually, I didn't choose the name myself. When I was in middle school, I went to a Pan-African middle school. So when I was in middle school, we didn't have a graduation. We didn't have like a regular graduation ceremony. We had a rites of passage. So the first year of middle school was the start of our rites of passage initiation process. And the graduation day, like normal graduation day, was like the finalization, the final ritual of our initiation process when we graduated. And when we graduated and it ended the process, the initiation process of our rites of passage, I was given the name that I had from my elders in the community and my family members. So I was given, they gave me the name.
That's interesting. Wow. So you went to a Pan-African school throughout your entire life or just part of your years?
Just part of it in middle school.
Okay, that's cool.
And whenever like, yeah, but I was always like in Pan-African or like, African after school programs when we didn't have the school around. A lot of my teachers that worked in like the regular public schools, they were all like, a lot of them were African centered, and they went to Kemen, they went to Ghana a couple times. They were in that early 90s, conscious community. They were part of that, and they would bring back books, and we had like after school programs, We watched like documentaries like on Marcus Garvey and all that stuff back in like 7th and 6th grade. So I was pretty exposed to it, but at the time period, I didn't really care. It was still school to me, and what I'm saying? It wasn't that deep to me back then. It was still school. Like learning about Marcus Garvey was like learning about Abraham Lincoln. Like it was still school to me. But as I got older, it became important.
Okay, okay. All right, that's great. That's some great information. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on the topic for today. All right, so as you can see, Roger Arliner Young. So yes, Roger happens to be a female, and I know some of you might be curious as to what woman name is Roger. That I was like, wow, her name is Roger. But yep, we're gonna go ahead and get started on the history about this beautiful African American woman. All right. So I always talk about STEM. People tend to think that Black people have not been involved in STEM program, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But what you're gonna come to find out that a lot of the stuff that has been invented here in America was invented by those of African descent. Okay, and you will also find out in historical facts there were a lot of Black people that was involved in science. We're not just talking about Benjamin Banneker. We're not just talking about George Washington Carver. We got people like Roger Arliner Young and so many others, who have not earned the recognition or have been acknowledged for the work they have done. So right here, I'm going to hit Wiki One. Now, the reason why, let me see if you can see my screen. Okay, the reason why I use Wiki One a lot is because I know that that's everybody's go-to source of information. So by this being very common, Wikipedia, Wiki One, and all of that, I just make it, a little bit more easier. So, okay, you can go look this up right here if you're going to use this as a primary source, but you always want to make sure you back it up with other sources to verify it too. You always want to double check things. So let's go ahead and let's look at her life according to Wiki One. All right. So right here, Roger Arliner Young, it doesn't say what date she was born, but it has the year she was born, which was 1899. And she died on November the 9th of 1964. She was an American scientist of zoology, biology, and marine biology. Now, zoology is the study of animals, of course. And biology deals with the study of life and organism. Now, marine biology deals with creatures that lives in the sea, like octopus, other sea animals, that live. That's what she was studying. And also goes down and say she was the first African American woman to receive a doctorate degree in zoology. Now let's look at her early years. Born in Clifton Forge, Virginia in 1899, Young soon moved with her family to Burgettstown. The family was poor and much time and resources expended in the care of her disabled mother. In 1916, enrolled at Howard University in Washington, D.C. to study music. She wrote in the yearbook, "Failure, but low aim is a crime." She did not take her first science course in 1921. Though her grades were poor at the beginning of her college career, some of her teachers saw promise in her. One of these was Ernest Everett Jest, a prominent Black biologist and a head of zoology department at Howard. Young graduated with a bachelor's degree in 1923. Just tried unsuccessfully to help her to get funding for her graduate school. But in 1924, Young began studying for her master's degree at the University of Chicago, which she received in 1926. Now, brother, is there anything you want to say? If you want to piggyback off of this?
Yeah. I wanted to say that you were 100% right when it comes to with STEM, with STEM and its history with African Americans in America. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit of our our STEM history, the American portion of it. But we created STEM. It goes back 5,000 some years in Africa. We created STEM. You know what I'm saying? We can go look at the various medical. We can go back and look at the various medical papyrus, and you can find all over Egypt. Uh, you can go look at various technologies that we discovered in West Africa. To be more to be even more specific, when it comes to STEM and technology, you don't have a computer without Africans, because on the more technical side and engineering side, the the natural resource called coltan, which is 80% 80% only found in Central Africa. Coltan is one of the number one components in natural resources used to make anything that deals with technology today, and it comes directly from Africa, and that's on the engineering side. But on the software side and programming side of computers, when you talk about binary code and computer code or computer language, that's an African invention. The Odu E5 is just binary code. It's ones and zeros. So we was already doing it already. You know what I'm saying? So let's put the African stamp on that one right there. So people think, you know what I'm saying, computer illiterate, we don't understand technology. That's far from the truth. But when it comes to modern computers, African Americans and Africans in general have contributed a lot to the development of computers and technology as we know it today. You can look around your house right now and look in your computer stores and look online, and you will see many things that were invented by or improved upon by African people. You may not know it because you never get credit for the things you do.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I agree with you. There are some sources that I want to share, like as far as book wise, but I'll do that afterwards. But let's go back to the biography of this sister. Um, let's see. Okay. So it says Young worked with Ernest Everett Jess for many years, teaching as an assistant professor at Howard University from 1923 to 1935. Research was done during the summers. Young assisted Jess in his research from 1927 through 1930. But although her assistant was noted in his grant application, her name does not appear as a co-author in the resulting publications. While studying at Chicago, she was asked to join Sigma. I don't know, Sigma Si. I don't know what that Roman numeral is, but a scientific research society, which was an unusual honor for a master's student. In 1924, her first article on the excretory apparatus in Paramecium was published in the journal Science, making her the first African American woman to research and professionally publish in this field. Now, let's talk real brief about African American women and science. A while back, I have read an article about how Black women are being underrepresented in science, in the STEM, and like so many of them there are those who have degrees, but they're just not getting the proper credit or getting into that field like they should. So what's your input about Black women being underrepresented in science?
Um, it's a institutional issue. Um, you know, somebody said that you can't expect your oppressors to give you or fund your liberation, and that's on all. You can't expect them to give us any kind of recognition or anything in their institution, because ultimately, by doing that, it defeats all of the conjecture and the misinformation that they have spewed and propagated about African Americans and science and technology all these years. So you're not going to hear about them a lot unless they're too big to contain, unless these names and people are too big to contain. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's too big to contain. Like his name's too big, and what he discovered and what he contributed is too big for them to detain it or contain him to where he's not known. So that's why he's not known. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get better at not only creating our own. We got to get better at not only creating our own institutions, but also giving our achievers and our scientists accolades and awards of our own. And we got to get better at upkeeping and holding up and funding the institutions that we already have, like Howard University and these different universities. Um, so yeah, that's my big answer when it comes to that.
All right. So let's read on a little bit more about this information. I'm gonna have to skip down a little bit. So, okay, we're gonna read a little bit about her career. Then we're gonna skip down because I want to get to the next source. So right here in her career, it said Ernest Everett just invited Young to work with him during summers at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. Beginning in 1927, while they worked on researching the fertilization process in marine organisms, as well as the hydration and dehydration in living cells. In 1929, Young became interim department head for the zoology department at Howard University for the first time while Jeff was in Europe seeking grant money. Young's eyes were permanently damaged by the ultraviolet rays used in the experiments conducted at Howard for Jess. Wow. In the fall of 1929, Young returned to the University of Chicago to begin her doctorate degree under the direction of Frank Rectory Lilly. Lilly had been a mentor of Jess while both were involved with the Marine Biological Laboratory. However, in 1930, she failed to pass her qualifying exams and for a time disappeared from the scientific community. She returned to Howard University to teach and continued working with Jess at the Marine Biological Laboratory during the summers. Okay. Now, let's just go ahead and skip down. It says, in June of 1937, she went to the University of Pennsylvania, studying with Louis Victor Hillebrand, another scientist she met at the Marine Biological Laboratory, and graduated with her doctorate degree in 1940. After obtaining her doctorate, Young became an assistant professor at the North Carolina College for Negroes and Shaw University, and held teaching position in Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana until 1959. Young contributed a great deal of work to science. She studied the effects of direct and indirect radiation on sea urchin eggs on the structures that control the salt concentration in paramecium, as well as hydration and dehydration of living cells. Now, going down to her personal life, it mentioned that she was never married. In addition to the occupation-related damage to her eyes, she had financial struggles and was the sole support for her ill mother until she died. Away from Howard, her options as an African-American woman scientist were limited to teaching position without access to research facilities and support. In the 1950s, she was hospitalized herself for mental health problems. Roger Arliner Young died on November the 9th, 1964 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, going down here, it talk about her honors and recognition. So let's look at what she was, what was her honors. So she was recognized in 2005 in the congressional resolution along with 4 other African American women who have broken through barriers to achieve greatness in science. The honors honored were Ruth Ella Moore, who in 1933 became the first African American woman to earn a PhD in natural science from the Ohio State University. Euphemia Lofton Haynes, who in 1943 became the first African American woman to receive a PhD in mathematics from the Catholic University of America. Shirley Ann Jackson, who in 1973 became the first African American woman to receive a PhD in physics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And Mae Jemison, a physician and the first African American woman in space. A group of environmental and conservation groups established the Roger Arliner Young Marine Conservation Diversity Fellowship in Young's honor to support young African Americans who want to become involved in marine environmental conservation work. So now down here is the list of information that could be found. And then also you can look up more information, list of Howard University people. And there's references at the bottom of the page. You always want to look for references because that's very important. All right. And so and that's that. So anything else you would like to say?
Oh yeah, I wanted to add that that Sigma society that she was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of famous. You had a lot of known big time. You have a lot of known and big time scientists in that society. One of the most known names is none other than Albert Einstein. They were part of the same scientific society. It's more than likely they probably work alongside each other or something.
Okay, that's interesting.
So
you said, I'm sorry, go ahead. You said click on it?
I said if you click on the yeah, it probably show you that.
Okay, let's see. All right, Sigma Society. All right, the Scientific Research Honor Society. You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up. Maybe I should have clicked on this first. So the Scientific Research Honor Society is a nonprofit honor society for science and engineers, which was founded in 1886 at Cornell University by a junior faculty member and a handful of graduate students. Members elect others on the basis of their research achievements or potential. Okay. And then goes into a little more information about it. Sigma has nearly 100,000 members who were elected to membership based on their research achievements and potential. It has more than 500 chapters in North America and around the world. In addition to publishing American Scientist magazine, Sigma provides grants annually to promising young research and sponsors a variety of programs supporting ethics in research, science, and engineering education. The public understanding of science, international research cooperation, and the overall health of the research enterprise. The society is based on Research Triangle Park. The society is based in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina. Wow, that's right. That's very interesting. And you said, I see where it says Albert Einstein. I'm sorry. What you say?
Yeah, the notable. No, I'm saying like if you go down to the notable alumni.
Yeah, I see that. I see Albert Einstein, Enrico Fermi, Linus Pauling, Francis Crick, and Jane Watson. Okay. Wow. That's big. That's really big. But you know, it's ironic. You never hear about this. I mean, you never hear about African Americans being a part of that society until just now.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
It's crazy because to give you a backdrop to the time period she was doing this in, That's around like the 1920, 1925, 1930, within that time frame she started off. And that's literally almost 100, it's literally 100 years ago from, so you know what I'm saying, from the time period that we in right now. So think about it. It took us 100 years. It took us 100 years to rediscover this. You know what I'm saying? A whole 100 years to rediscover this. So, um, but at the time period in the 1920s, that was the period of what we call the Harlem Renaissance, right? And the Harlem Renaissance, as you know it, was the re-emergence or the re-emergence of African American intellectualism or African intellectualism, African art, whether it be music, whether it be poetry, whether it be like written literature, African science. You had a whole bunch of scientists, African American scientists, including our sister Roger, that came up in that time period, in that time frame. So let us not think for a minute that we were lacking or behind in anything. Uh, during this time period, during this time period, the sister she would have been what W. Du Bois called the talented tenth of African Americans who were excelling and performing on the same level of science and everything else as any other European during that time period. So let us not think that people were, behind and couldn't read, couldn't get right. Yeah, some of us were, behind, but it was a lot of us who overachieved and overdid it, and wrote books and wrote manuals, invented things. So we don't talk about games. It was just that uh, uh, in certain institutions, we didn't get the recognition. You know what I'm saying? So we created our own institutions. There's plenty of African American science societies and science and like STEM and science study groups. They were created back in that time period. They had like uh, uh, study societies where African American scientists and philosophers used to get together. It was like a club, and they used to debate on various topics about the planets, the universe, different kind of topics on science. So we've been doing that, and that's what became your conscious community today. The brothers at NBK, the NBK YouTube channel, they did a good video on that about the origins of the conscious community, and that's where it started at. But these are actual scientists. You know what I'm saying? They were debating about, where do we come from? What are human cells? All types of stuff. Like, did dinosaurs exist? Did they believe in evolution or not? We were already talking about that 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago. The same thing about, in another circle, you had the history scholars like uh, Arturo Schomburg, John Jackson, and those elders who were already uh, creating study groups and debate groups about where we come from, our history, what tribe we come from, looking into our African culture, analyzing our African American culture. They've been doing that 100 years ago. But a lot of us think that we invented it and we just not came up with it. It's a new thing because of the internet. No, this stuff is 100 some years old that we've been already doing.
Show that people can look up, find information on, and they can also go on the websites and verify a lot of stuff. It's like so many information is out there, but I don't know why people don't really take the time to actually look and do the thorough research. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you can pop up all this other stuff, you can go and verify other things too. You know what I mean? It's not really that hard to. But let me show this real fast. Okay. All right. So now here's the information. It comes from tnfonline.com, right? So, which is Taylor and Francis Group. That's what it stands for. And the name of this article that I have here is Souls, a critical journal of Black politics, culture, and society. All right. It's a journal, a racial trust, individual genesis, and capitalist respectability in the life of Roger Arliner Young by Sarah P. Diaz. The article was written in 2016. Okay. And it's a legitimate article. All right. So, volume 18, number 2, April through 2016, page 235 and 262. That's where it's from. So it goes into more depth and detail about Roger Arliner Young's life. All right, so I'm not going to just read all of it. I'm just going to read some of it. Okay, so what I normally like to do is I start to read the beginning, like the first paragraph, the first 3 paragraphs, just so people can get a general idea of what this article is going into. So let's go ahead and read and see what this author is talking about. All right, so it says, 50 years after her death, the professional experiences of Roger Arliner Young, the first Black woman to earn a doctorate in zoology, continue to resonate with many women of color in the academy. Young's career trajectory was defined in many ways by the politics of respectability and its entanglements with other salient ideologies in the first half of 20th century. Using several key moments in Young's life as an illustration, I argue that the historical context in which Black respectability emerged was shaped by at least 3 specific ideologies: individualistic, eugenics, and capitalist, which leave an imprint of the politics of respectability. Because Young's career spanned multiple ideological contexts, from the racial uplift discourses in his historically Black colleges and universities to eugenicists, nature/nurture debates within the biological sciences to Black capitalist economic separatism in Durham. Her life demonstrates the diverse ways in which the politics of respectability regulate Black women's engagement with the Racial Uplift Project. Okay. So, and then it shows the keywords right here. Okay. Now, it says this: a colored girl, a colored working girl is a racial trust. Her race burden is a heavy one. Her speech, action, and diligence constitute the measure by which the whole race is judged. Azala Hackley. That's a quote from her. Now, more than 50 years after her death, the professional experiences of Arliner Young continue to resonate with many women of color in the academy. Young was the first Black woman to earn a doctorate in zoology, the daughter of a coal miner and a housekeeper. Young moved through multiple social worlds, from the violent segregation of the Jim Crow South to the Black middle and professional class societies of Washington, D.C. and Durham, North Carolina, to the elite white laboratories of the biological sciences. As a Black woman from the working class, her inclusion in many of those spaces was at least partly contingent on her ability to assume the postures and gestures of a respectable woman. But what counted as respectable varied widely across contexts throughout her lifetime. Thus, Young's career trajectory was defined by various policies of respectability and their entanglement with other ideologies in the first half of the 20th century. For example, the ideology of individualism that shaped the politics of respectability at both Howard University and the University of Chicago constrained her ability to navigate racialized institutional relationships. Okay. The paradigm of eugenics common among biological scientists during her early career marked Young as unfit for science. Later, Young's union organizing among the working classes outside the university clashed with the respectability politics of elite Black capitalists who were in positions of power at Shaw University and North Carolina College for Negroes. Although she achieved international recognition for her scientific research before she had even earned her doctorate, Young's story had been used as a cautionary tale for Black women in science. Then goes on to say, while I reject this characterization of Young's life, her story does illustrate the prospects and perils of respectability politics for women of color in the academy. And then goes down to say, since Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham 1994 articulation of the politics of respectability, the intellect has been expanded and applied to a wide range of contexts. Among the Black Baptist Club, women in Higginbotham's study, the politics of respectability, incorporate both conservative and radical impulses by advocating racial uplifting through conformance to Victorian bougie codes of morality that included cleanness, hard, honest work, thrift, feminine domesticity, sexual purity, and temperance. According to Higginbotham, it would be a mistake to reduce bougie respectability politics to a class-based politics of exclusion. Nevertheless, as a response to racism, bougie respectability politics simultaneously accepted and rejected white perception of Black social and biological pathology. But respectability was not simply imposed by the Black middle class onto the working classes. Historian Victoria Wilcott demonstrated that working class Black women share bourgeoisie values embedded in the politics of respectability with middle class Black women, while also remaking respectability in their own image, emphasizing and self-sufficiency. I find the politics of respectability as a knowledge of racial uplift, that is, respectability politics were and perhaps still are a tactic used by marginalized groups to attain social, economic, civil, and political epistemological equality with dominant groups. Then here, respectability proceed that uplift is achieved by common work or respect in one or all of those dominants. Using several key moments in Arliner Young's life as an illustration, and she said, I seek to one further nuance the historical explication of respectability politics in the 20th century African American communities, and to provide historical grounding for theorizing contemporary politics of respectability. All right, so I'm just gonna stop right there. So, brother, as you listen to me reading this article, where's your implication on that? Where you go? Is he back? Did he? Okay, so, hold on. Give me one. Unfortunately, they had dropped and I didn't even know. So I don't know what happened. I'm trying to find out where this person is at. I'm trying to find out where he at. But anyways, so yeah, that's the article and information dealing with the concept of Roger Arliner Young and the concept about the politics of respectability and how it has affected her during that time period, because by her being an African American woman going into the scientific field, that was not very common. That was not even looked at as the normal thing to do. So with that being the case, it became problematic, and it was becoming very hard for her to earn not only just a higher recognition, but earn better income. So it led her to a state of financial struggle. So that's what this article deals with. Okay. If you guys can give me one moment, please. I'm trying to locate somebody. Let me find out where my guest was at. Give me a moment. Okay, so I don't know what happened to my guest. Hopefully he'll come back on. Because he had something that he wanted to talk about. So I don't know what happened. But anyways, while I'm sitting here waiting, yeah, that's the information I wanted to share with you all for today about Roger Arliner Young. And so while I'm in the process of waiting on him, if you guys want to happen to look up more information about Black people and Black people inventing things throughout history, being involved in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. All right, here we go. So we got this book right here, which is called Black People Inventing Everything by Sujan Kumar Das. Sujan Kumar Das, all right, who is also formerly known as Supreme Understanding of Law. So this book deals with a lot about Black people in history and especially regard to science and technology, engineering, mathematics. So this is it right here. So if you guys want to look up more information about it, you can check this book out for yourself. And also, I have books by Robin Walker, which is Black in Science, Volume 1. Okay. So this first book here deals with ancient Egyptian contribution to science and technology and the mysterious sciences of the Great Pyramid. So I have this one. And then also I have a part 2 of this book, which is Blacks in Science, Volume 2, West and East African Contribution to Science and Technology and Intellectual Life and Legacy to Timbuktu, Robin Walker. All right. Then I have another one, which is called The Blacks in Science, Volume 3, African American Contribution to Science and Technology. All right. Again, by Robin Walker. So you guys can also check those books out if you need to. All right. So if you guys give me one more, give me a minute. So let me find out where my guest is at. Okay. So unfortunately, I can't get in touch with my guest that was on here, so I don't know what happened. I don't know what took place. Um, so anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna wait a few more minutes. And if I don't hear from him, then I just have to end the video. But other than that, you guys, if you're so pro-black, for all my pro-black people out there, right? So black power-ish and whatnot. Let me see. Black woman God. That's funny. Let me read the chat. Let me see. Okay, peace to the chat. Sorry about the chat. Peace to everybody that's in the chat room. Thank you all for tuning in. For those of you that's coming in watching, I appreciate that. I really thank you guys a lot. And so yeah, I just want to say it's to those who are really pro-black, who are really black power-ish. How often do you actually study the historical information regarding to those ancestors, those who have came before you? Like, not just the ones that we know they are very common, popular, but what about those who did not earn a lot of recognition, did not gain a lot of did not even receive the proper respect? How often do you actually study into history regarding to African American people or to the African in the diaspora? How often do you guys actually study that? Because I think it is very important. I mean, I admire Marcus Garvey. I admire Malcolm X. I admire Martin Luther King. I admire so many people that really have earned their recognition. But what about those who are considered as the underdogs, those who are unknown? What about those individuals? Okay. I want to read something else. All right, so I have this book right here that was written by Mlamu Baruti, which we also know him as Baba Baruti. This is called Inyasasim, right, which is the tree word that means revolutionary daily thoughts of revolutionary. So in this book, it's a lot of information that's in chronological order, but it's always with quotes from those who were writers, poets, activists, political activists, also those who were educators. They have quotes in this book, and also the words from Baba Baruti himself as far as the wisdom is concerned. So let's just go ahead and let's just read today's quote. All right. So November the 9th, intellectual disobedience is the ultimate act of decolonization. Moreover, it is the hallmark of a liberated mind. Yehudu Hotep. We must shield our children from the intellectual insanity of other psychosis. However, to teach, we must know who we are and what our children must equip themselves to do. Becoming African-centered thinkers require that we reconceptualize our reality in African terms and ways of knowing and doing. As a function of correctly defining, incorporating, and acting as Africans, our reality naturally changes. Power shifts and balance return. It is a process of visualization and activation. Because we think so, it becomes so. Reconceptualization is the process of searching out and or creating more appropriate terms and especially meanings to terms that better fit the logically self-interest, nation-building politics of our research and agendas. The true purpose of studying is to teach the student about his or her power. Acquaintance with one's power is the only means by which an individual can determine and fulfill his or her own destinies. And if the individual's formation, a nation and if the individuals forming a nation do not know and cannot act on their power, the power of their people, asili, the power of their culture, the power manifested in them through their ancestors, then they do not constitute a nation. It is only a aggregation of powerless, disassociated individuals easily victimized by other nations on missions of exploitation and domination. Affirm. I am reconceptualizing our reality in African terms. All right, so that was the quote for today from this book right here. Very powerful quote. So all I'm saying and all I'm urging you guys to do is take the initiative to actually just get involved and study more. Not just only into African history, but also into world history as well. You know what I'm saying? So that way you would know how to be more aware and be able to combat certain issues and be more wise, be more knowledgeable about the things around you. So the brother was going to come on here and talk about the cybersecurity. And I think that's very important because of what's going on the internet. You know, with all these social media platforms, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they're monitoring the things that you're doing because people give consent to certain things. Like, let's say if you get on certain apps or a certain website and you want to get on the website through Facebook and whatnot, yeah, you're giving consent to that. And also he wanted to speak on the fact that, like, if you notice, you might look on your news feed and you see the advertisement. And you wonder why they're advertising the website that you was on, because they were following you. So they were keeping track of things that you're doing on other websites because you're giving consent by using Facebook or sign in to a page or an app through Facebook. So now Facebook is monitoring and they're watching, they're keeping tracks of things, which be able to give them the opportunity to advertise. So basically, that's what he wanted to get into about the cybersecurity and how Facebook and all the other social media platform is monitoring what we're doing and, you know, and what we're saying and whatnot. So I know a lot of us has experienced issues with Facebook, especially me, because like in certain groups, for some reason, I can't get access to certain group. I can't post in certain group, but why, I don't know for the life of me. So, so I guess Facebook is monitoring the fact that you can't say certain things or put up certain stuff or whatever, because certain stuff you put up there, they're going to either take you down or either they're going to ban you from going to certain groups. If you don't manage the group or if you're not a moderator, you can't go in there. You can't do anything. You can't comment. You can't say nothing. It's a lot of bullshit. That's what I'm saying. It's just a lot of bullshit with these social media platforms. So, yeah, so as of late, I've been having a hard time actually like getting into groups and giving comments and whatnot, because one minute they're saying that I'm banned for this day, I can't post for this particular amount of days, etc., etc. which is ridiculous. Then when they take me off, then they gotta ban me again. And it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Whatever. I guess, Mark Zuckerberg is in his feelings right now. I don't know what the hell going on. But it's quite ironic. It's very ironic. It's very funny. Interesting. But anyways, with that being said, you guys, right, and that's another thing too. They are censoring a lot of things. So, Facebook be very selective as far as who they gonna censor. So this group can't get away with doing certain stuff, but the other groups over here, they can get away with it. I don't know. I really don't know. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and in this video. If you guys want to share the video, you're more than welcome to do so. And if you guys are just coming in, you have to watch the video from the very beginning to see what the topic is about, what the conversation is, the discussion and whatnot. Of course, I was dealing with Black history, and I had a brother on here that was giving his commentaries and whatnot. And yeah, so fortunately, I can't get him back on here. That was pretty challenging. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end the video, and make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell whenever I come on. Make sure you share the videos. And if you see my Cash App, if you would like to donate or if you like to contribute, that's my Cash App information at the bottom. So you can go ahead and donate if you want to. But until then, I'm out. All right. So y'all take it easy and be safe. And I'll reconnect with you guys later. All right. Thank you. Peace.